Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. Good morning. We are happy to be here. It is a beautiful December morning, and it is 9:31. We are joined by a full complement of commissioners from the county and the city. I assume, yes, you all made your changes based on the election results, and if Commissioner Bowie Hutchinson arrives, we will, of course, welcome her at the dais.
She's still at the championship, so
Oh, yes, of course. How could I be remiss in not congratulating Hawthorne on their state championship victory this past weekend? Really a special night for all of Alachua County. So we'll go ahead and call to order. Just a little forewarning, on my last meeting, I've decided to attempt this in expert mode without my contact lenses. So if you see me squinting, it is because I'm trying to see. Luckily, I'm nearsighted, so I can read. So let's go ahead and adopt the agenda. Have I got a motion for that?
Second.
Motion and a second.
Can I bring up one thing about this?
Absolutely.
So we do our committee assignments at the first meeting in December.
Okay.
So we may elect people in this committee and then things
That's
shift
fine.
around.
Well, you're going to have to select a new chair anyway, so the reorganization meeting, whenever you all decide who to put on, whenever this body meets next, at that point, you'll elect a new chair and vice chair, so no problems.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought we were doing that today. I apologize.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda, seeing no discussion.
Yeah, I think, Madam Vice Chair, I think that the appointment of the chair and the vice chair will be at the
I see that February now.
February meeting, yeah. So we'll have time for you to try to wiggle out of being the chair, but probably won't. Right, okay.
Very funny. Okay, so all approved, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay, let's go ahead and approve the minutes from October 24th. Do I have a motion for approval?
So who?
Move, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Cornell. Any discussion? Seeing none, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. None. We will now move into our business discussion items. And the first item is our Joint Water and Climate Policy Board logistics.
Good morning, everyone. Stacy Greco, Alachua County Environmental Protection Department. You'll see on here, these are the dates of the 2023 MPTO. This group has historically met on those MPTO dates since that's already on many of your calendars. At one point, we switched to Monday mornings to allow a little bit more time before this meeting and then the MPTO. So those are the dates that are listed here. If we want to stay with those dates and if we want to stay with this 9:30 time, it is the pleasure of the board. And then, as was mentioned, that it doesn't make sense right now to switch up leadership because we don't know who's going to be sitting up there, so we can do that part in February. But it would be helpful to at least know the date of the February meeting and possibly the whole year, just so we can go ahead and get it on calendars, so when people do commit to be on this board, they'll know when those meetings would be.
Thank you. First comment, Mayor Poe?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's probably a good idea to tentatively set these dates today, but I believe the city commission will probably also receive and approve committee assignments on the 5th. Is that right? They're going to start getting those in. And so with such a changeover on the city commission, I do not know, we do not know, I think, what availability will be for all the new folks and who might choose to serve on this committee or not. So getting them on holds, getting them as holds on the calendar for now, and then if we need to make some, if y'all need to make some adjustments, once we know who the membership is and what their availability is, then you can kind of do that at that first meeting that you have in February. But there, yeah, I would be a little sensitive that those might change until we really know who's on the committee and what their scheduling is. But with that, I'll move that we adopt the tentative dates for the 2023 Joint Water and Climate Policy Committee as printed in the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Commissioner Brazil.
Okay, well, I will ask that we maybe amend the motion, because I guess I feel pretty strongly that it's very frustrating for me personally to have these meetings on the Mondays before our regular meetings. We get our agenda items on Friday to review by Tuesday. Like, it's a Monday, the Monday right before our meetings is a really busy day for us to try to prepare for our regular meetings. And so having MTPO and this meeting on Monday, the Monday before our regular meetings, makes it really difficult to prepare for our regular meetings. So if it was possible to switch them so that it was the first or third Monday instead of the second and fourth Monday, and about half of these, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 of these fall, 4 of them of the 7 of the 5, 4 of the 6 fall on the second Monday. So if we could switch it to a first and third Monday cycle. I mean, we can tentatively approve these dates and then, like you said, just shift all of it once we get the new commission. But I would just ask that we look at dates on the first and third Mondays as opposed to the second and fourth Mondays.
Yes, that is a good suggestion. Commissioner Coronel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm never going to disagree with my chair, who's our new chair here.
No.
But what I would say is I really liked when I was on this board having them right before the MTPO meetings. It really helped.
I say the same thing at MTPO.
Well, it's fine. And so if we adjust all the MTPO meetings, I mean, I'll meet whenever the majority of this board would like to meet. But I liked having that 1 o'clock meeting prior to the 3 o'clock MTPO. It blocked out that afternoon. It gave us, we knew we were all going to be there. And so that's my preference. So we've heard now from 3 different people, 3 different opinions. But I think we can, like the mayor said, kind of adjust this in January, set this first meeting date, February 27th. But I'm in favor of the same as the MTPOs, whenever that is. So if we move MTPO, that's great. And if we do it right before that MTPO meeting, that puts us all kind of in the room. I think we'll move theoretically to a county chair of this committee next year, so it'll be over at the county chambers. So that would be my preference. And I think if you had the morning to prepare for the Tuesday county commission, that might help.
I mean, I have some time between them either way. It's just.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Wheeler?
The only response I would have, the only response that I would have to that 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock meeting is that often we go past 2 hours here, and that does restrict us, in terms of, the business, unless we can get it done that quickly.
I mean, that's why we
in the 2
moved it
hours.
to begin with, was because we were having a lot of long discussions and we
Meet at noon.
Yeah, I mean, we moved it
Yeah,
to the
we could,
morning so we would get a break and people could go do something and then come back. But I'm agnostic as to the time.
so, yeah, I
I
am
don't know how
too.
y'all feel, but
I am too.
I can't remember
But-
if we
Well,
moved it up to the morning for
we-
you all too.
Well, first of all, good discussion. Obviously, the big date is February the 27th. That's the date when this committee will have new membership.
Which is which is fine. I mean, that February 27th, that's a Tuesday.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a Monday. That's the last Monday, so it won't be a meeting, so that's totally fine. We can stick with that one and then.
And then go from there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, a good discussion. Obviously, calendars are subject to change based on new membership. But also, the reality is that while we like to stack these on MTPO days, they're not really comparable. The MTPO is, 12 members. This is a subcommittee of the two bodies. So, this one I would say would be the one where you have the most flexibility to change its date. I wouldn't be too confident that you could move the MTPO.
Agreed.
So, in any case, my recommendation would be that we just pass this motion, and then staff has heard the comments about potentially changing to that different cycle. And what I would recommend is that the minute that new members from the city commission and members from the county commission are put on this board, that they immediately start to share their schedules and their availabilities.
Pick it up
And
again.
what I would rather what I would rather have done is when you get here on February the 27th, everyone sort of has their calendar already sort of sorted, and a new set of dates has already been predetermined, and then you can make that final vote, because you know you don't want to be
On your phone, on the dial.
figuring out your calendar on the dais. I've come to find that's not the most efficient use of time. But that's good discussion. Do you have anything to add to that, or?
That sounds great. So, sounds like the city commission will do committee assignments on January 5th.
Correct.
When does county do them?
Tomorrow.
Okay, great. So we can already start to look at calendars. We'll plan on that February 27th at 9:30 here, unless something changes before then, if we go ahead and find schedules align.
Should be across the street. Because it's likely to be,
But I think at that meeting,
Yeah.
we can
The switch
start
over.
across the street.
Yeah, the switch over.
Okay.
Yeah, that will happen. By tradition only. It's not a rule, but it's by tradition.
Okay, so we'll be in Grace Night then.
So who will be preparing the agenda for that? Is that meeting really just an organizational meeting, correct?
We can prepare it if that makes it
Yeah, so,
easier.
I mean,
at the county.
why can't we just do that one organizational meeting right before MTPO?
Well, I mean,
Because we'll all be there. We'll all be at the MTPO.
people who can't make a 9:30 meeting aren't going to sign up for this committee anyway. So when the committee assignments are handed out, they're going to look at it and say, "Oh, that means at 9:30," So I can't do that. So you can put it at 1:00. You can put it at 9:30. To me, I think it's immaterial because you're going to have new membership anyway. Unless this board feels differently.
So you're suggesting doing it at 1 o'clock that one day?
All we're doing is organizing.
That
Yeah.
one day?
Yeah.
Well, I would hope that the dashboard.
Maybe take, I was gonna say, we're
All
gonna be
right, hold
taking
on,
up
hold
business
on,
the-
hold on. Let's reel it in.
I would hope that the dashboard discussion is on the 27th agenda. I mean, it's already been pushed off. I know I copied you on that, and that's another almost 3 months.
I thought we talked about it today.
So, I hope it's not just organizational. I hope that topic is there because he indicated they have some sort of space and ability right now to execute.
Yep.
And it gives time for staff to ask any follow-up questions between now and then, certainly to make a recommendation. But
That makes sense, yeah.
But it doesn't mean, if that's the only two things, then 2 hours is plenty of time for that.
I agree.
But whatever, I will be watching on Channel 12. It's not really.
Mayor, we know
I'm just
you
trying
won't.
to be a little.
Is
You
there?
should be in Tahiti.
Excuse me. Okay. Good discussion. Is this light still relevant or?
Yep.
Okay.
So this week's MTPO is at 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's normally not at 5. Is it moving to 5? Do you know?
It rotates.
There's
Some are-
2 or
Public
3
hearings.
meetings a year that we hold at night to allow the public
Public hearing, yep.
to participate, and it's usually when we approve.
Work plans and
Yeah,
lists and stuff.
so that's all. So that will be the same, and Scott can tell you there's one in July or June.
Yeah, the one in February right now is on my calendar at 2:30.
That's interesting.
I don't know if they just messed up.
That
on
could be,
2:30
I
or-
think missed.
Right, or instead of 3, yeah.
But then, this December one is always at night as well, and I think there's one other. But
Okay. Well, good luck. So let's just go ahead and dispose of the motion. Does all in favor say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Yeah, just if you all want to change it, you absolutely have the ability to change it in the future.
Let's look at what's on the agenda.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item is the Citizen Climate Advisory Committee, the annual report.
Good morning. I'm Steve Hofstadter. I'm the county's liaison for the Citizen Climate Advisory Committee, and it's my pleasure to introduce this year's fiscal 23 chair, Mr. John Nix. John Nix is one of the original members of the committee, and he comes with an amazing diversity of skill sets. He is the energy conservation specialist for the school board. He's a local farmer, and he's a agricultural engineer with a minor in mechanical engineering, and he has a full career in the energy conservation industry. So I'm going to step aside and let the chair of the committee, Mr. John Nix, give an update of their Citizen Climate Advisory Committee's annual report. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners. It's my pleasure, and I want to thank you very much for putting a Citizens Advisory Board together like this. It's indeed a pleasure to work with such a diverse group. The last selections that you made have made our committee very, very diverse, and I'd like to just commend you for making great selections to the committee. Everyone here has worked very well together, and so far the 3 new members that we have worked really well in making our committee such a diverse committee. First of all, I want to just give a little history. You know, this committee was put together in July 14th and 2020. And our responsibilities as we see it is to have citizens' input into the climate issues and the concerns that will affect Alachua County and the city of Gainesville and our surrounding municipalities. This committee plans to advise you guys on the joint policies and joint ideas that we feel will affect these areas. Our big responsibility that I see it is to get as much community involvement as possible so that we do 2 things. We advise the community, first of all, on what climate change actually is and how it affects them personally in their areas. Next slide, please. These are our current members, and as I mentioned, it's a very, very diverse group. We have people that are farmers, we have researchers, we have people from the University of Florida. As you guys have done a great job in giving us new members that really give us a good picture of what climate change is. We had members prior members were Amanda Wade and Christine Denny and Megan Walker and Stephen Muley. These were people that also had research backgrounds. Next slide. The way we plan to do this, and being an engineer, I love pictures first. So the vision, first of all, is a vision similar to what the city likes to have as their vision. We want to make sure that during our plan we allow for visions of sustainability and equity, and we want to make sure that it's a learning environment for our community, so that we actually have a community that can work together in a very productive way for everyone, and then have a loving environment where our city and our county and our communities work together and for a common cause in terms of environmental cleaning. So what we want to do is, as you see, our main thing is to listen and communicate. And then we're going to take this vision that we have of bringing everyone together and having a sustainable, equitable society. And then we want to go out and sell that vision to the community through outreach. And then we want to bring in a lot of our stakeholders who are already out there doing things. We recently had a great energy type of workshop, and the NAACP had a workshop recently at Santa Fe where we were talking about green jobs. We were working with the League of Women Voters, where they put together a energy conservation type of workshop for the city. So there's a lot of stakeholders out there that are doing things, and we're collecting these people and bringing them with us and getting their ideas. And then we want to take this, and we recently had a greenhouse inventory presentation. We feel that that is one of the things that's going to impact us in the mediation that we do. We're doing this analysis where we look at vulnerability of what things are affecting us, and we want to put that into an adaptation plan. GRU gave us a presentation on what they are doing and some of the limitations that we can do in terms of integrating renewable power. So we want to take all these things and bring them together and come out with a climate action plan that will identify priorities, limitations that we can do, and then develop a implementation plan that's realistic based on what we actually can do. Not what would be nice, but what we actually can do based on our current situation. Next slide. So some of the accomplishments that we've done is that we have presented this quantitative climate variability analysis to the board at one time. Megan Walker did that. And we've identified, as I mentioned, community groups that are already working on these issues. And then we went back with the county and worked on updates to this, to our plan, our climate action plan outline, making sure that everyone knows what they're supposed to do and what their part is, and mainly what's expected of the committee, what we actually have to present, and what inputs we can get, who does what, who's working on what we're working on, what inputs we can expect from the county and city. And by the way, we have members that represent the county liaison, and of course, Stephen Hofstetter, we have Jenny Ford from the city, we have Eric Walker from GRU, and we have Betsy Riley from the county, who's the sustainable manager. They have been very, very cooperative in working with our group. And then we've made updates to this plan based on who does what. Next slide. We've received some presentations, and as I mentioned, it's very important to know what the greenhouse gas emissions are and where they're coming from. So we had a presentation that gave us these things, and one of the things that really stood out was some of our cement factories was really a big source for some of our emissions, and we established a relationship with the UAB, United Advisory Board for GRU, and so that we weren't asking for the same thing. They actually gave us a presentation of what they were doing, so that we weren't coming back asking GRU and asking the county for the same information. They came and gave us a presentation. And then we work with the staff to interpret this vulnerability analysis. Identified high risk. Each of us, with our backgrounds, determined what we thought were high risk for our areas. And one of the things that really came out in air quality was the danger of forest fires in the inhaling of the smoke into our cities from the forest fires. Of course, the flooding also came out as one of the important things that we had to come up with mediations for. Next slide. So our goals this year was to maintain and establish those relationships with the community group. We don't want this plan to be something that we do in isolation. We want to make sure that we get all the inputs from the city, from the community groups. We want to go into the churches. We want to go into the neighborhood committees. Let them find first of all, we want to make sure that they understand how climate change can impact them. I like part of my background is I counted the other day, and I've worked like 8 major storms in Florida in my career with utility companies. And one of the things that we talk about is how do you mitigate extremes? You can't always stop them, but you can go in and you can do things like hardening. You can do things that will reduce the impact. So we go into the communities and we talk to them about climate change in terms of impacts, extremes. What happens when we have this really, really hot summer? What happens when we have this really, really cold winter? What happens when we get a lot of rain all at one time? So basically, climate change is having something last longer or to a greater extent than it normally is. So we are going into these communities and we talk to them about how we can best mitigate some of these things so it doesn't have such a big impact on them. We've created a platform to communicate these activities and events, and these are the platforms that we're talking about. We actually are talking about setting up some type of website where we can always show what we're doing and what we're doing in each area. We want to develop a plan to allow this committee to regularly engage with that community. We want to assign different committee members to work specifically with a specific group or with a specific community. Next slide. We want to work with the staff to help interpret and keep monitoring what our greenhouse gas emissions are, and then how to prioritize where we should be working to reduce these. What sector, what industry is giving us the most, and what kind of steps can we recommend based on research to those sectors to kind of reduce this for our area, and work with the staff to interpret this vulnerability analysis that is actually being done now. And then we're thinking about doing a summit. And in this summit, we want to bring all members of the community together. We want to bring the stakeholders together and actually get some common denominator on how we should go about working and trying to reduce the impact of climate change. Next slide. And so following this community input from the summit, we want to work with the staff to come up with action items that actually come from the community. And then remain active to inform about what we're doing. And that dashboard that I'm thinking about would always let the community know how we're working on the input that we got from this summit. Okay, next slide. So getting back to where we want the outline that we want to use. Up front is that listening and communicating. That's the main thing we want to do, and we want to get that input so that we can take the greenhouse gas inventory, we can take the vulnerability analysis, and then we can mediate and adapt and then come up with a plan that's not just our plan, but it's the community plan. Okay, next slide. Are there questions from the group? Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your leadership on this committee. I'm excited to see the direction you're going with everything. And I love the idea that you're acting as sort of a conduit to interpret and explain and educate our community on complicated things like a vulnerability analysis and greenhouse gas inventory, and helping translate that into normal everyday language that people can understand and being able to get that input back. So thank you for that. My question was, We have had a discussion about a dashboard that would be a place, a repository for both county and city activities around climate change action and our greenhouse gas inventory vulnerability is feeding into that. We had a presentation from that group a couple months ago. I believe it was recorded. I guess my question was, have you all looked at that? Did you all watch that meeting or have you looked at that? And if not, was it something that perhaps you could take up at your January meeting to see if that dashboard might be an interface that you all could also use so that we all are collectively using one interface? I mean, my further hope was that we would take it back to our respective boards in January so that we could come back in February ready to make a decision about that dashboard. But it would be great to have that sort of input and idea to make sure it's going to work for you all as well.
Yes, I think Commissioner Steve had talked to us about that, and I think the idea is that we would work on that be a part of that common dashboard.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Thank you.
That's my only comment.
Chair.
To that point.
I know that the folks that presented to us would be happy to meet with y'all. There's a time difference of about 6 hours, and so they would need to meet probably more in the morning for y'all, but even a couple members of your committee, if you're interested in sort of seeing the same presentation and being able to ask questions, I think it's a more important part with that same group. I know they'd be happy to arrange that. So you can just work through Steve or whoever to set that up if that would be of value to y'all. Thank you.
It would.
Thank you. And I highly recommend that. Not just for yourselves, because becoming familiar with what that dashboard is going to be capable of and how it can be useful to the average everyday citizen, that's going to be a big part of its success, is sharing that education. Next, Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning,
This
Commissioner.
is really beautiful. Thank you all so much for doing all of that. It's basic and to the point and easily understood, I think. And I would just ask you to add to your considerations when you all are talking with your broad group of experts and concerned citizens, that you would also talk about the eco loop as you are flushing out resources in the community. We have that ready to go out at Levita Brown. You know, we're trying to encourage businesses who would come in and help us, you know, with recycling and that sort of thing too. So as you are out there in the community looking for resources, maybe it's the University of Florida. I mean, I feel like if we can put somebody on Mars, surely to goodness we can come up with some industries here locally that would help us with that.
Okay.
And the other thing too, we are becoming more and better educated into issues of environmental justice. You know, and I'm hoping you guys are considering all of that in your conversations as well and can help us, you know, in
Yes.
your presentation to us what that means across the board historically. You know, we have historical neighborhoods here
Right.
that will be affected by a lot of these things that we're going to be doing.
Right.
And the other thing that I would recommend, as I always do, is screen porches. And if that means giving, you know, free screening to everybody so they can put around their porch areas, you know, that we can have people who can sleep out on their porches at night when it's too hot and you can't air condition.
Right.
And the bugs get bad.
Right.
So for me, that's a simple solution for a lot of us. That's the way I grew up, with screen windows and porches. But
Getting back to basics.
that exactly,
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
Right. Yes, we are, for every action that we do, we look at the equity of it. And as we know, some areas going to need more work in order to not be impacted as much. And so we do, every action that we look at the equity of it and what areas might need a little bit more help than others in order to mitigate some of the impacts of climate change.
And one other point too, in terms of the workforce, you know, as we see temperatures rise, it's going to be more and more dangerous for people working outside. So, you know, even adjustment of work hours. And that's why moonlighting may take on a whole nother, take on the old meaning again. But the thing is, you know, those things need to be discussed, and the work industry, you know, our employers, you know, need maybe to be aware too that they're going to have to accommodate. And I think a lot of them already are by working early, especially during the morning hours when it's
Right.
still cooler. But even so, I think, those are things that we need to be talking about so people understand that there's going to be a shift in the world
Right.
and the way we live it.
And this was one of the reasons that I feel really good about our group because it's so diverse and all the issues that you mentioned. We have workers there, people that work 9 to 5 on our group, and so it gives a good perspective of the impact of extremes. So thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
Chair.
Thank you.
All right.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, in watching this, the things that came up. First of all, I appreciate the work that you all have put into this. I'm glad that you all are actively meeting and working toward these goals. My priority for y'all, and what I would hope that you could spend time on, would be mitigation and resilience for the community. We know, very specifically, particularly here in the city, we know that the biggest emissions culprit in anywhere between Orlando and Jacksonville is GRU. We know that we all like having electric lights. We all like having conditioned air, and to do that, we have to make energy. And the way we make energy right now has a lot of fossil fuels burning and emitting carbon. So we know that is what needs to be solved, and our professional staff at the utility works on that every day, and so does the utility advisory board, so does the city commission. We're very well aware of that. So spending a lot of time trying to figure out where the emissions come from, we already know where the big thing is. I mean, we can shave around the edges, some other things, but really that's the thing. So, what we don't talk about all the time, at least not, out front, is mitigation. How do we, when those climate change things happen, when we have stronger storms, when we have hotter days, what are the things that we can do as a community to be aware that those are coming and to mitigate them?
Right.
That's what we don't talk about all the time.
Right.
We are very well aware that we need to find alternate energy, but we don't talk about how we deal with the changes that we can't avoid at this point.
Right.
I mean, there are things we've already done that are bringing these changes. We don't talk a lot about what to do about those. So I would love for you all to spend time on that to make recommendations back to us. Because if you come back to us in 6 months and say, we found that burning coal is really a problem. We found that burning natural gas is really a problem. We already know that. So what we need are recommendations about mitigation and resilience. And then moving into the environmental justice factor, we know we're going to need 3 or 4, at a minimum probably, sites for utility scale solar farms. Mm-hmm. That's the most efficient way that we're aware of to create a lot of solar energy to replace what we currently use. We need to know where those are going to be sited. And again, our professional staff is working on that. We have a whole lot coming in front of us for the next few months about that. But helping the community understand the benefits of utility scale solar is a thing that we could absolutely use.
Right. I completely agree. And we have a lot of stakeholders that are working in that area, the environmental group. I'm a part of that, and we're looking at where we can put solar sites. We're working with GRU on that. We had a presentation to our group on emergency planning in the city, and we are looking at what we actually have in place right now and how we can make that even better, and where we can place those things such that having food and where people have to go and where can they get gas. And as I mentioned, I've had the opportunity to work about 8 different storms, and I know some of these things that you mentioned is very important. It's how do you can't stop these things from happening. So how do you basically become more resilient? And these are things that we're kind of working on also, and that will be part of the plan.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dix. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Cornell.
Just to build on what Mayor-elect Ward said, I agree with him. I think focusing our efforts on adaptation, mitigation, and really adaptation is the key. I will tell you at the state level, after Ian and obviously Nicole, the coastal communities, this is their function. This is their kind of their priority. And I've said this before to my colleagues. We know 76% of the Florida population lives in coastal communities. And so we're going to see them migrating here and us being able to adapt to that migration to us, but also what can we do? What can we do right now to really prepare for that, to me, is the key. And I think Mayor Poe kind of nailed it when he said if we could focus on that dashboard, which is where this committee is going to, as a means to help inform the public of the things that they can do individually and what we are doing collectively as a community to prepare, to mitigate. And Commissioner Ward said resilience, and I think we say adaptation. They're the same, but that's really where we are. What action plans can we do? And so the work that your committee is doing to help us communicate throughout the community, these efforts, I think, is critical, and I want to thank you for that. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and I have to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Y'all's work is, in many ways, some of the most difficult work, because not only do you have to interface with elected officials right here, but you have to be able to educate the community in a way that folks don't look at elected officials for education, at least not generally. But they do look to community members to assist in that education. And so you all have a very difficult job, but I can tell you that I feel very good about where you all are. What you mentioned in your report, was really along the lines of what we're seeing. And of course, climate change is an issue where I don't think there's an idea too big or too small to implement. We absolutely need to have cooling places of refuge for when the temperatures inevitably will exceed 100 degrees on a fairly regular basis in the coming decades. And that's very dangerous for folks, folks who are not used to that kind of heat. I know we're used to heat here in Florida, but we're looking at some really, really tough days ahead. So I don't think there's any idea too big or too small, but it obviously has to be within our realm of capacity, our realm of capability. But what the great thing about capacity is, you get to set yourself up. So the more work we do now to build our foundational capacity for community outreach, community education, things like that, the more we're going to be able to do in the future when the climate crisis becomes more apparent and in your face, because it has been accelerating for a long period of time. So I know personally some of the members on your board, and I know that they are dedicated to this mission, and that's what we need. We need folks who are really dedicated to the mission. Do we have any additional comments do you have any additional comments you'd like to add?
No, I just want to again thank the commissioners for your support. We really have had the liaisons come in and always give us good information. I want to let you know that they are from the city, the county, they're GRU. They've been very, very active on our committee, and they're giving us great reports, and we look forward to working with you continuously.
Thank you. One last comment?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to follow up on the dashboard conversation. I guess it would be great if we could get a formal, blessing from you all about that dashboard and its ability to do the kinds of things you want to do in time for our February meeting, so that we can kind of rally the troops around that dashboard, if that's the will of the two commissions and the Climate Advisory Committee. So I just wanted to reiterate that February date.
Commission, what I'll do is I'll send them, I believe it was videotaped, the presentation they gave, so I'll try to get that to the committee members. They meet next Monday. So obviously they won't be able to make a decision at that point, but I'd like to have the discussion and then see if we can't get that group in front of them to at least give a short presentation so they understand how that dashboard would work. The committee can get back to you all with a recommendation by February. I think we can work in that timeframe.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, well, we don't have any action necessary for this item. We'll just accept the report, and we'll now move to public comment. Any comments from the public? Anybody outside? Okay. Any membership comments? Go ahead.
My only comment was just that I know that we didn't take up the dashboard today, but I hope that we can come ready to take that up, which I think means each of our commissions having the discussion independently about that dashboard and their ability to invest in it. I think it's a very affordable option, and I think it's a really nimble option. So I'm excited about the possibility, and I reviewed that presentation again because wasn't sure if we'd be talking about it today, and I was just re-impressed with the capabilities for the price tag. I thought it was a really good investment. So anyway, I will be willing to bring it up to our board, with my colleagues here and represent it. I know Ken, I don't know if he's gotten to see that presentation, so I guess
I was here for it.
you were here for it. Okay. Anyway, and see if we can't get some consensus around each of the boards being willing to chip in on it so that we can then come back in February and make a decision.
Absolutely. Commissioner Cordell?
Mayor Poe and Chair Ariel, I'm not sure if I'm going to be at the MPPO meeting tonight because we have a Children's Trust meeting at 4. So if I'm not able to be there, I'll make my speech this morning that I have appreciated and really valued our time together serving the public, and thank you for the service that you have done to the city and to our community. And so I just wanted to personally tell you that. I can't wait to see what's next in store for both of you. I'm sure there are great things, and if you see me tonight, I'll make another little speech about that tonight. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. Commissioner Wheeler?
I was going to say basically the same thing, but he said it very well. But thank you so much, both of you, for your work, and thank you for chairing this year.
Absolutely. It's not a secret. I love to chair meetings. No, thank you. Well, I'll just say for myself, I really first I want to thank the voters. The voters sent me here to work on climate change issues. My generation has always grown up knowing that this was going to be our biggest challenge. We had a lot of other challenges, I'll say, but this has always been the one that has stood out to us. It is not uncommon, for young folks to talk about planning our lives around climate change and whether or not or how many children we should have and things like that. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. So I appreciate that the voters sent me here to work on these issues. I want to thank the staff, not just the City of Gainesville staff, but Alachua County staff for working on this committee. It was always seamless, always prepared, always keeping us on track, keeping me on track. And, from everything down from staff preparation to the broadcast booth, making these meetings run smoothly. You all really made it possible for me to be able to do my job as chair, and I greatly appreciate all of your support. And lastly, I want to thank my colleagues up here. There are a lot of places in the United States of America where climate change conversations are shut down. This is not one of those places. And while I think all of us have to educate ourselves and all of us have to put our heads there's not an analogy for this issue. You can come up with analogies, but there's no analogy for the potential collapse of the life ecosystem of our planet, right? There's not an analogy for that. So how we work on this issue is really going to define our civilization. And look, I as much as I would love to see the stars from the beaches out on Mars, this is our only home. And we have to be responsible for it, every single one of us. And so this work is very deeply important. One of my regrets of not being in the next government is the fact that the next 8 years are going to be the most critical in our society. And so there is no more time to waste. There is absolutely no time to waste. And so it is at least a refresher to me that those who will be in the next government care very deeply about climate issues and want to see not just good policies for planning for the future, but want to do things about it right now. So, I'll watch with pride as I see, the climate summit and other things that, I felt like I was part of foundational work for it, and I'm going to watch with pride as it blossoms into something more. But I believe it was you, Mr. Mayor, who told me that the hallmark of good leadership is that the work can continue even if you're not there, because of the preparation and the time that has gone into preparing everybody else. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all for letting me do this work. It has been an honor. And so you're...
May I add to what you're just saying, or enhance what you just said about moving forward with your work? Steve, do you have a minute? Do you have an update on the monies coming down for what we're seeing for water in Alachua County? Have you gotten any inside scoop of that you could share with David, and to let him know that the work that we're doing in the county really is moving forward?
Yeah, there was actually an article in the paper today about some funds coming in towards some water quality projects. I think $800,000, I think in total, are coming in, and $24 million in the region. Stacy probably can answer that better than me. But yeah, we've got some great projects coming in. So yeah, excited about that. Yeah.
See, David.
Yes, I appreciate that. And like I said, I've got confidence that y'all have got this and that you can do it. And obviously, if there's anything I can do, call me if you need me. Thank you.
We expect to see you at the front line of barricades.
Excuse me. Okay, so your next meeting is going to be February 27th. And so for one last time, this meeting is adjourned.